This video is to introduce you to systems thinking and modeling. So when we're thinking about problems and the solutions to those problems, we can frame problems in two ways. There are tame problems and wicked problems. Let's focus on tame problems first. Tame problems are problems that have a fairly simple, self-evident solution. So for example, a tame problem might be how to get across a river. The solution could be something along the lines of building a bridge between the two land masses. So this is a tame problem because with enough time and money, a solution can be developed. However, a wicked problem is a problem that does not have a simple solution, or solutions to that problem may create further problems down the road. So a solution to a wicked problem might be something along the lines of identifying a leverage point, implementing a possible or many possible solutions, reevaluating the problem and identifying new leverage points after implementing those initial solutions, and then implementing another possible solution, and continuing in this cycle, constantly reevaluating the solutions and how they affect the initial problem that you set out to address. So one example is, how do we stop overfishing? Well, our solution might be something like iteratively managing fishing through a variety of means, such as quotas, catch shares, habitat management, etc., and continuing to reevaluate as we implement those means of addressing our initial overfishing problem. It is essential to note that we do not try to solve wicked problems using tame solutions and strategies. So we ask, how do we solve wicked problems? Well, many scholars have posited systems thinking. So first and foremost, what is a system? A system can be defined as a set of elements or parts that are coherently organized and interconnected in a pattern or structure that produces a characteristic set of behaviors, often called its function or purpose. Examples of systems can be things like the human body, economies, biosphere, car engines, and airplanes. These are different types of systems, but all of them have a set of elements or parts that are organized and interconnected that produce a characteristic set of behaviors. So then, what is systems thinking? Well, a lot of thinkers focus on the individual aspects of a problem, but a systems thinker focuses on how the individual aspects or parts interact with each other, and a systems thinker seeks to understand the entirety of a system. So, when we're thinking about systems thinking, we can use the iceberg model as a tool for guiding systems thinking. The iceberg model shows an iceberg divided into 4 different levels of thinking that represent the layers of a system. At the top of the model, we have events, which is what we can think of as what is happening or what is the problem. These are visible components of the system, and below that layer, you have the less or non-visible elements of the system. So below events, we have our patterns of behavior, or what are the trends or behaviors that there exist over time that might be influencing the events. And below that level, we have our system structure, or how are these parts related? What are the influences on the patterns, or what influences the behavior? And then below that, we have our mental models. And this represents what are the values and assumptions or the beliefs that shape the system. So in systems thinking, we have a leverage point, as you see on the side, increasing leverage. And a leverage point is a place in a system structure where a solution element can be applied. So as you move down the levels of the iceberg from the top to the bottom, you are increasing the ability to influence and learn about the system. So if you have implementing solutions at the bottom, you have a high leverage point because a small amount of change force causes a large change in the system behavior. And we can think of change force as the effort required to prepare and make a change. So what are some of our goals for systems thinking? Well, we want to move from observing events or data to identifying patterns over time and surfacing the underlying structures that drive these events and patterns. We also want to be creating more satisfying long-term strategies to manage these wicked problems. So, what are some of the habits of a systems thinker? Well, we can think of a systems thinker as somebody who sees the whole picture, who changes perspectives to see new leverage points in a complex system, who looks for interdependencies, who goes wide or uses peripheral vision to see complex cause and effect relationships. The systems thinker finds where unanticipated consequences emerge, changes perspectives to increase their understanding, thinks about short-term and long-term consequences of an action. So some of these sort of emergent questions across what is a systems thinker we're seeing as somebody who sees and looks and develops different perspectives of a system. We're also seeing these sort of emergent trends of somebody who thinks critically and finds patterns and uses their observations to inform their thinking of the system. So what is systems modeling? Well, a model is a representation of a thing or a system, and systems modeling can take place in our heads, such as mental modeling, or in a more formal representation, such as scientific modeling. In our next video, we will be talking about modeling and systems thinking more deeply